Welcome to the Comic Binge. I am your host, Paul Herman, and today we're talking about fantasy, sword and sorcery. That kind of rhyme? Maybe it did. I don't know. Fantasy comic books, and I don't talk a lot about fantasy comic books. I don't talk about them enough. And there's lots of good stuff out there, but anyway, I don't get too much into it. But today we're going to be talking about Kieran Gillen and Stephanie Hans' Die. And when I first read this Die title, I had no idea what I was getting into. But it's not what you think. It really isn't. At least I didn't think so. But if you haven't already, I appreciate y'all going to the old subscribe button and hitting that button and stuff. You know, it really helps us out. You know, let you know that I'm online, or we're online, I should say, and we're having fun. You go and join us. So. But I'm pretty stoked about this crowd today. I got a returning person. I've been trying to get her on forever, and I've just been like lazy, and also she's been busy. So appreciate her jumping on. We have Cookie coming back. Cookie, what's up, dude?
What is up?
What's up? You're back. Thank you for jumping on. Honestly, it's so late there. I appreciate it. Seriously, thank you.
No problem.
You're awesome, and I love the fact I love having you on because you're hilarious, fun. But you also don't read superhero comics, and I love that about you. So it's like I like to get your different insight, because to find someone who doesn't read superhero comics, who loves comics, is very, very hard, to be quite honest. Which, again, I love superhero comics, but I'm trying to branch myself out there, So, and again, maybe I might get you to read a superhero comic or two. We'll see.
One of these days, I will. I promise.
I really wanted you on for Immortal Hulk. I really wanted you on for that one, but that one was because I know for a fact you'd be into that for a fact without hesitation. So anyway, but that episode's gone and passed. Maybe one day I'll do it again, but just try it out someday.
Okay.
So, all right. Thank you for jumping on here. And last but not least, he's pretty much a full-time member of the Binge. Mr. Adam, aka Pizza Time. What's up, dude?
Nothing.
You're just a man in a few words, Adam. Are you tired like me today?
Not really.
Good. Get your energy up, because I'm about to bust your ass here in a second.
Because that one guy's gonna come back and be like, "Oh, you guys are all,
Yeah, well, that guy was weird. He's like, "You guys are all, whatever." I'm like, dude. You have no idea. I'm trying to hold this shit together, man. Like, seriously, if I I can go off the rails real quick. People don't understand. They don't understand.
Very true. Yeah.
Just give me an inch.
Seen it. There's clips. I've clipped some stuff. Check out the clips, and you'll see Paul go off.
Yeah. What's up, Jacob? What's up, man? Appreciate you coming on, brother. I'll go off, which I don't like to do very often. So. Anyway, today we're talking about Die, the comic book, fantasy comic book, and I discovered this very randomly. The series was, I just kind of went on and went, I wanted to try to branch out and try to read some different things, and I don't know where I found it. I found it like on a list of like top current fantasy comics, and I saw it, and I gotta tell you, I'll throw up the cover here. Oh, whoop, wrong one. Oh, the background. Oops. There we go. This cover of issue 1 is beautiful. Like, I think like this captivated me and drew me in immediately. And I was like, I gotta check this out. I gotta check out this book. And Kieran Gillen, I like this. It's a whole other podcast. That's right. What's up, Chris? Chris, I need to get you on. I just wanted to let you know that, homie. Anyway, I had to read it based on this cover alone. And I picked up the title, volume 1, and I read it. Like, I didn't realize this. I saw a story like memory came up like, you did this 5 years ago, and it was like me reading Die. I was like, holy shit, was that long ago? And I went in completely blind, and I read it, and I was like, God damn, like, this is kind of a cool story idea. And I didn't read any more. But I really wanted to get like a different kind of story on here for the Binge, like independent comic books. And I was like, my homie Cookie, she loves independent stuff and like non-superhero stuff. This is kind of up her alley, I felt. And truth be told, I didn't realize it even more. I felt like as I read it more, Cookie, even more up your alley. I was like, damn, this is totally. This is when I know of you. I was like, oh shit, this is like totally up her alley.
Yeah, definitely.
And then I was also thinking I didn't want to just be me because my other homies they're too busy to read this. They're too good for it apparently. Javi and Chris. So I was like, I gotta get someone else on here who actually has time and also actually wants to read it and be interested in this. That's Adam here. So, and I felt like Adam is kind of a good parameter because he'll read anything and give it a chance, you know, and he'll tell you if it sucks ass or not, which I appreciate. So, seriously. So we'll get into it here, and I'll kind of tell him a little spiel because it was very interesting rereading this again, and you inspired me, Cookie, to read Volume 3 because I was going to do Volume 2. I bought 3. I was like, oh, okay, well, I guess I have to now too. You know? And so I
pressure's on.
Yeah. All right. I see how it is. So I read all 3. I know you didn't get through all 3, but we're not gonna spoil everything. You know, I don't. We're gonna obviously do some light spoilers. Like obviously we have to talk about the main premise. I don't want to, but I have to talk about the book at all, right?
I remember you mentioning this book a while ago on one.
Really?
Of the streams. Yeah, I think so.
I think you're right. Yes, I think you're right. Okay. Yeah, and it's one of those things where I don't know. So basically, when I read this, I bought the digital copy because I was a jerk for digital back in the day because I was cheap and.
Well, and it's easier. Yeah. You're back. Okay.
This guy.
I did the thing on my computer and like the swipe thing, and then it went backwards. I'm like, why are you doing this to me? Anyway, so I reread it and I was like, reading it during digital, and I was just like, I burned through it. I'm like, okay, this is a very interesting story. I kind of want to have more. I think I read they had like single issues of Volume 2, but not like wasn't Volume 2 yet. And I'm like, I'm gonna wait, which I'm glad I did because I found out this is only a 4-part series, only 4 trades, which I thought was kind of interesting. I'm like, oh, it's not that long. I mean, 4 trades, what, 20 issues? That's not bad.
Yeah.
You know? So but I remember when I read it digitally though, I really loved the premise, loved it. And I didn't see a lot of people talk about it. Like I mean, it obviously had some kind of, some kind of following because it lasted this long, but it didn't last. I don't know. People didn't talk about it enough, I thought, because I really liked it, but I hadn't finished, reading past Volume 1. So when, I wanted to bring this up, talk about this for the show, brought you on, Cookie and Adam, I really, I sold it to you, Cookie. I said, and I'm curious if you agree with my comparison. I said it meets Game of Thrones. Is that what I said? I think
you pitched it like a Stranger Things game.
Oh.
Stranger Things and it. Yes. So
Yeah,
I was just like, okay.
Okay. Yeah. So how accurate am I on this?
Kind of. So
yeah, no, you can tell me I'm full of SH. It's fine.
No, not at all. No, but I get the Stranger Things with the D&D kind of references and the it where they're adults going back to their past. Yeah, but I wasn't expecting all this like high fantasy stuff, which was awesome.
Which I didn't either, because I thought, because I'm only was assuming off Volume 1 what I was going to get. And I was like, okay, I expected it because here's the thing. Before I get too involved in it, I'll throw it to Adam here in a second. But I just wanted to say that the it thing, it was. I felt very much that's where they were going to go with it, and it didn't happen. And I'll explain that in a second. So I was like, I have a whole thing about that. Anyway, Adam. Did I tell you this to pitch? Did I pitch the same thing to you, or did I just tell you read it and you just read it?
Yeah. No, but I remember you, like I said, a while ago, you talked about this on something, and we're like, oh, it's kind of like Stranger Things. That's what I'm remembering. I don't know, like, what, I think you were just talking about it in general. Not to me, just like to the show, to the audience.
See, I was talking to you. I was talking to you too. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if I was on the stream or not, but
I know. I'm just being funny.
but I must have watched it because I remember that. So
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, you
you're
just
loyal.
said, oh,
You're loyal.
you told me. You basically told me a few days ago, hey, you want to do a mega binge on Monday? I was like, sure. And you're like, here, read this.
Well, because I was thinking,
Last minute homework.
Well, Adam's I can give him anything, he'll read it. And I really appreciate that about him. But again, it's also, I love it because he's down to read anything. Because not everyone's gonna want to read like this, stuff. They're like, yeah, I don't want to read this.
I'm trying to broaden my horizons like you.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, and listen, I'm not saying that I love all high art, because I love all kinds of dumb shit all the time. So I mean, I love dumb stuff. So, but this was something interesting because I felt that this is a tailor-made movie coming happening
or a
right
TV
now.
show. Yeah.
TV show.
Yeah.
Right.
This would go crazy, I think, if you adapted.
That's what I think. So okay. So let's. I'm gonna put you on the spot, Cookie. And if you can tell me to go to hell if I need to, but can you explain what? Because I'm terrible at explaining things a lot. So can you explain the general pitch of if you're pitching this to your homies back in New York, right? So
yeah,
you picture your homies in New York to read this book. How do you sell it on? Sell it to the audience, sell it to your homies.
A D&D game, but better. Come to life. Oh God, I'm so bad at explaining things.
This is good. I'm not explaining things too. That's why I'm trying to pass it on to somebody else.
So
how about you? Let's go with you. We got Cookie did a good job. She gave us D&D come to life. What else would you say?
I'd say 6 friends get sucked into I don't know a tabletop RPG, and they come back changed, and then they revisit it 25 years later, like Twin Peaks. And
so funny you brought up Twin Peaks.
And yeah,
and that's it.
There's probably some more, and then calamity ensues, kind of.
Chaos
does ensue. So here's where I got the it thing from, and this is where I will say here, I was so far. Again, I haven't read. Do I have it here somewhere? God damn it! I had. Is this it? Oh, no, it's not.
Wait for it.
No, it's not here. I thought I had it somewhere. I had volume 4 here somewhere, but no, it's volume 3. Anyway, I haven't read volume 4 yet, obviously, but I'm a little disappointed that they didn't go back to when they were time when they were kids. And judging from volume 3, we're not going to get that.
There is a lot there's a lot of inference in this. I guess that could be a con. It feels like there's a lot of stuff you have to infer in this.
I don't mind that.
I don't mind it either. But but you're saying oh, you wanted to maybe see a little more fleshing out of that time. That could be an interesting thing.
Yeah. Because first of all, I love it. It's one of my favorite stories, whether it be I love the book. The book is I'm not a prose person, just not into it, but the audiobook for it is chef's kiss. The dude from Wings is in it, who was in the Shining remake. What's his name? I forgot his name. He's really good in it, actually. The book anyway, when he does it. And I loved obviously the original TV series. I mean, it petrified me as a kid. I probably had nightmares for 5 years in hate clowns forever because of Pennywise and my boy Tim Curry. And I think the new movies I think the first movie is phenomenal for it, and I think it too, the sequels is fine. It's not terrible. People are pretty hard on it, but the ending of it, regardless, is rough. It's hard to put that together. I felt they did a good job considering like a spider. I mean, like,
given the source material, they did okay. So
yeah, that end of that book is there's some weird stuff in that. But anyway, that's a whole other podcast. So I was a little disappointed because I really thought we were gonna get the kid aspect of their perspective of because I love the idea in the first volume. Again, minor spoilers for the first volume because it's the first thing you learn in like the first like 10 pages, so whatever. But like how they leave as kids and they come back 2 years later and they're completely different. Like they went through all this.
It's kind of, they talk about it. You get hints of what happened throughout all these issues. Like, oh, I didn't think that I would actually lose my arm by doing this.
Right.
And it's like, oh, this character, this NPC was into her, but
NPC.
I mean, basically.
No, that's what they call them. Yeah, the dwarves, right? I mean, like those dwarf characters.
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking about like the vampire guy. It's like, oh, he was, there was an almost love triangle happening, and then the stuff does come up, eventually, and I feel like he's telling us what we need to know. I guess as like certain characters are introduced and they go to places again, and
we get the important background stuff when it's necessary. So
right,
and then we get the info dumps, and it's like, oh my god,
I know it's so much.
There's a lot of info dumps.
I will say, I would say that was probably because we were texting about this kind of a little bit the other day, Paul, like the origin of the world, and that was like, it was interesting.
Put a pin in that. Okay. We're gonna talk about that later. But anyway, but yeah, because that is we're gonna dive into that.
It's interesting because I was not thinking it would go there. I was that's totally like that's like, oh wow, okay. That's like the last thing I would think.
Yeah, that's kind of what that's exactly where I kind of fall into as well. But so
there's a lot of references to other stuff like that, so it's kind of it's a very referential thing with Lord of the Rings, etc., The Hobbit.
But the thing it sucks about here's what I would say that I'm kind of bummed about is it's referential, but I also I wish because the world he created, and we'll talk about how he borrows, but like the world he created though in that first volume is so good that I'm like, it's like, did you need to go there?
Right. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, because it's like, it seems like kind of this like, oh, this is interesting, kind of different. But then it's like, okay, he's like taking stuff from this and that. And it's like, all right, yeah, it loses the magic a little bit, the explanations, but it's also it is an interesting concept, I guess, because he's taking stuff from other literary works that it would, like I said, it's like the last thing I would think that you would take to create a tabletop RPG world.
Yeah, I'm bringing this. I remember the characters because here's what I'm curious, Cookie, what your thoughts on this, because because obviously this is, I mean, it's narrative driven, but I mean, like, it feels obviously character driven, like, right? Like, this is totally driven by the people in the story, not the narrative. Like to me, like, it could be both. You could argue, but to me, it's way more of a character driven story because of it's an ensemble cast. But they are obviously making all these decisions that drive this. So you know what I'm saying? Like, would you agree with that? Like, did you like? What do you did you like that aspect of this comic book of all these different characters? Because that can be a detriment sometimes of these team books, if you will.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, for me, I think that was my favorite part. Like, it easily could have just been a story of, everybody's dumped in this place and they got to figure out how to get out, and that's the story, the plot, and just go. But you do get little pieces of backstory, and I feel like every character gets their time to shine, which I like that.
Yeah, and Kieran Gillen is the fact he gave what was it? I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is it 6? He gave him 6. Well, 5 if you can't take out Soul because he's not. Yeah, but yeah, well, right, but he's not with them a lot though.
Yeah, he has like I feel like he has the least development probably.
Yeah.
Because he's
So again, we're going to try to do light spoilers. One thing for me, and again, I'm so bad with names. I have the names here. What's the dictator? What's her name?
Ash.
That's right. Thank you. I'm so bad with names. God. I'm just gonna. I will spoil one little thing here, and it's pretty early. You find out, but it's been fascinating for me, which I was not anticipating, was the fact that you have Ash is in the real world, it's a boy, but in the world of Die, which
yes,
I'll get to that in a second as well. He's a girl, he's a woman,
yes.
and how that plays out was I was not anticipating being so captivated by that story that I was, especially where it turns into after the end of volume 2 into volume 3. I've been really impressed. And again, it's shocking to me. People don't talk about this as for for LGBTQ representation of like this in here. Like this is strong character work that people don't really talk about. I'm like, you don't know this exists?
I mean, it's a great like gender fluid story that like nobody touches. No, like this,
Well, and no one, because I understand that they don't want to touch it because they don't want to be called like you can't write about this. I mean, there are reasons why people don't want to touch it for different sides. Kieran Gillen's very liberal. Obviously, he's a very liberal and pro all this stuff. What I think is fascinating. And because again, like he brought in like lots of great. Like, if you want to talk about representation for LGBTQ characters, read his Young Avengers stuff, which is fantastic. It's great, and those are strong characters that he helped really bring out. Which again, like that's an underrated title, which we may cover on this show every once in a while. But with this, there's some really cool stuff here that I thought was like, man, like character work, like gender fluid, a great example. That people again, like out in like the media and people out there who want this representation, it's there, and like people don't really talk about it. I'm just disappointed that people don't talk about it because it's there. It's awesome. So, like, what did like for me? Some of the things they reveal with Ash, because it goes by they still call her Ash when she's in Die.
Ash, like all the time.
Yeah, okay.
They call her Ash like all the time in the real world too. I think more.
Yeah. What I find fascinating is how, because if you guys haven't read Miracle Man, which is a phenomenal comic book, superhero. Sorry, Cookie, superhero. But it's really
different.
But it's
different kind of superhero though.
Yeah, it turns not into a super. It
was one of those first like deconstructed things, right? Sort of. Well, because Moore wrote it.
Yeah. It's Alan Moore. So but no, there's a funny part where the again, not spoiling Miracle Man, the part of who the person is on the inside to what he becomes in his Miracle Man is almost, I'd say, similar to what Ash is from when it's when they're a man on the real world to Ash in the Die world. And I think that I love the idea of how things happen for them differently, almost works out better for them in Die, and not like in a very conniving, like I'm more powerful and I have power way, but just like they're more themselves. It's almost like that whole like I always screw up this word, not analogy, but the allegory. The allegory of like, you know, you when you become who you are, when you feel the most safe and you can be, there's no rules, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that when you're in the real world and you're around like these confines, you feel like you have to put your guard up, you know, kind of a thing. And I did like that aspect of that character, which, you know, I didn't, because you know, again, Ash goes on a journey that I was not expecting, you know, at all, not much less of the past. So I'm curious, how surprised were you by Ash's journey, Adam, as you read this in volume 3? And most of volume 3 you've read Cookie will be not much different, to be honest. But Adam, go ahead and go first.
I thought it was interesting. I did. I think it was good. It was good for character conflict, because this series feels like it could have been ended after issue 5, but then there's the twist at the end of 5.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and they can't go home again. And then it's like, okay, we're getting close to going home, but it's like, no, we have to actually save this place. And then the party is split again. It's like, well, we want to go home, and well, we kind of don't, because we want to do the mission. And it's like, well, what's more important, the mission of the world, or going back to, you know, the real world, where you actually have people that are, you know, wondering where the hell you are. But yeah, her character arc through it is interesting, because she's like going back and forth on like, okay, I guess I have to save this place if we, you know, before we go back. And yeah, I don't know. It's just bring that conflict into there was interesting to me.
Yeah. Cookie,
And
the
what you were saying about like, oh, being who you actually are with the you know, without the confines of society, etc. That is an interesting take on it too, I think.
Yeah, I really, because not just for them, I should say, not just for them, but like the whole team, right?
Yeah,
like,
it is for everyone, I guess, except for maybe
Matthew. I would say,
yeah, except for which actually I like him a lot.
Me too. He's my favorite character.
I love him.
I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone else is like, well, because, you know, Chuck is like, oh, I can do whatever the hell I want here, and Isabel is, I don't know, she's actually interesting. Well, she was like, she was the reason for like, oh, we have to save the world. And it's like, no, you don't.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, exactly.
And then Angela is interesting because, well, she goes like back and forth. She kind of is like, she's like on the Matt side a little bit. Yeah, I don't know. They are the idea the story is interesting, because it does seem like Cookie was saying, like, oh, it's just going to be like, oh, we go back home, we have to get back home, but then the characters' motivations evolve, and it's like, okay, well, it's not going to be that easy to go home.
Yeah. Cookie, finishing up on Ash here. Yeah, what was your take on like how they develop and everything throughout the story?
Ash is one of my favorite characters. Like, she's a lot of fun to read, and I didn't read the third volume yet.
I
started it, and what I like is that you know, she has like a taste of power, and she kind of likes it. So I was just like, oh, this is a whole nother layer. So I love how layered she is, and how the motivations are constantly changing, and it's fun. She's fun to read. Yeah.
She's a fun to read character. I would say, like, her, again, no spoilers here, but her trajectory was not what I was expecting at all. You know, but yeah, I would say like the interesting, I think they're all interesting except for Chuck. to be honest, and not because he's like the guy of the group, whatever.
The fool.
I mean, yeah, he's a fool. Like, yeah, we get it. Like, he's supposed to, whatever. Oh, God, this cover's so gorgeous. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
These covers are just out of control.
So
good,
beautiful.
Man. Like, I just like you can frame this. Like, look at that. That's amazing. So anyway, no. Here's the thing with Chuck. I get what he was doing with him, what Kieran Gillen's doing with him, and everything, but I don't know. Like his reason for staying and die makes more sense. Yeah. Isabel's, I felt a very far fetched a little bit. Would you guys agree to that a little? Like, well, initially.
Well, it's one of those things where I'm just like, don't you guys want to go home? It's like now we have to do this whole now we have to do this. It's not even a side quest. It's like the quest.
Right. Go ahead, Cookie.
No, honestly, I don't like Isabel. I don't like her at all as a character because, she acts like she's being so selfless and I'm going to help these people. But it's like your friends have kids that they need to get home to and you don't have anything. Like you said, you don't even have a cat. So so it's like, yeah, of course you want to stay here.
Oh, hell no.
Shout out to Cookie's cat hanging out.
Yeah. You don't have a cat either? Get the hell out of here.
It's like, let me get home to my cat, lady. But yeah, I don't like her. I think her motivations, I think she's trying to come off as this good, selfless person. And I think she's the most selfish in the group, if you ask me.
Right. No, and you're right. And there's really interesting things here because she's also the one who talks to gods. And and that's their powers, their whatever they have, their power they have in die is fascinating how it ties into their personalities, but not I would say in cliche ways, very interesting ways. And I love how it's a part of their personality, but they're they're vastly twisted in very interesting ways, like how she's an atheist but she's also the one that can talk to gods and communicates and makes deals with them. Brilliant. And even to again, I know Ash's sister, I forgot her name.
Angela.
And God, you guys are so great. I love you guys. Angela, I love the fact that this character is just in pieces. And that's what she's a cyborg, and her life is in pieces, basically, right? Brilliant.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Chuck is carefree and now has a death wish essentially now, whatever. There's and Matthew, the only way he can, he's such a good person, but the only way he can truly destroy things is by being sad. And it's just there's so much great stuff here that I'm like, damn. And you guys touched it. I'm glad everyone loves Matt like me. Cause
dude, it's so, it's so badass in volume 3. What happens?
Dude, Cookie, if you haven't gotten volume 3, there is a badass moment with our boy Matt, dude.
All right.
It's so good. It's so good. Oh God, it's so good. Yeah, I love how you brought the same thing, man, because I love that. No, Matt is I hate to say it, but being a dad, I instantly lockstep in Matt, because that's the thing with me. I'd be like, what? We aren't gonna go back because you've got to save these people? Oh hell no! I'm going back to my daughter. I'm taking this thing. I'm gonna kill you, dude. I get it. So yeah, Matt is to me, I think, the most interesting. To me, I think he's the most dynamic in this part. Oh my God. I love this is one of my favorite parts of the whole series so far. When Matt has to go back to where he picked out his original sword. Yeah. And it's just it's so good. But think about other characters. I think that's most everyone except for Saul, which I'll say we'll let people discover that one. But that one, I don't know. Do you think I'll just say this? Do you think we all know why? Or not why, but the motivation for Saul is? I mean, we all can guess why.
Maybe. I don't know.
Ash?
Well, yeah.
I mean, they haven't revealed it yet, but it's like it's pretty obvious, right?
Yeah.
Think so?
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't know. I'm very curious if Saul makes a comeback with them at some point. It feels like it's coming. It feels like it's coming, but I don't know. So yeah, I love like the motivations of all these characters. Anyone other characters that you really love that like you touched on? Like any comments you want to talk about? Like the premise of these characters, like unique powers, motivations, if you will.
I mean, I know Chuck isn't exactly a favorite, but I I like him. I like that it's like he runs on luck basically, and you know, like he has like this carefree attitude that just carries him through the book. So that I kind of like that, considering everybody else feels so tortured. It's kind of like a nice
Right.
He's fun to read.
yes,
He is
he's
fun to
very
read.
fun to read.
He's not. I'll say this. I think other writers would write him terribly.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think Kieran Gillen, he because he's a very talented writer.
Mhm.
And I cut my teeth on Kieran Gillen on the Darth Vader comic books, actually. Like that's where I really, or that and the Loki and Young Avengers stuff. But it was Darth Vader that made me really kind of turn my attention to like, oh, this guy's like, he can do other stuff. And you know, he created Dr. Aphra, and it's interesting because he's so good at character work. I think it's probably his strength. And he does. I think other writers would make Chuck very brutal and just not fun to read. But he makes Chuck. You really do have sympathy for Chuck, I will say, which he's not my favorite character by any means. But I definitely found myself, not just because of the obvious reason why you want to sympathize with him, but like you kind of see like just where he just how he needs something to live for. He needs that luck to live off of in real life, right?
Yeah.
Like I do like that a lot about him. You know,
like you could say basically his luck ran out in the real world, so now it's like in the fantasy world, it's like, well, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna do that.
Well, Chris, why don't you read the book and get back to us? How about that? All right, Chris, come on, let's read the book. God damn it! People
you like him, Chris.
Yeah, I think a lot of people will like the series, and that's why I would say like. I want people to read this because I do feel this is this will be a little bit of a soapbox, and this is not I'm not the first person to say this, but I know there's a big push against push for, at least it's dying down a little bit more now with the streaming wars kind of winding down, but the whole thing about IPs and getting this stuff out to independent comic books and being like, here's my pitch for a TV show. 5-page or 5-issue comic book. It's like, you know, like just make a goddamn comic book, right? Like, whatever. But I hate that. I don't think Kieran Gillen loves the medium.
This one has 20 issues.
Right. No, but Kieran Gillen loves the medium. He's a comic lover. This is not like him pitching. But I will say it feels like this would be a really successful show.
Oh,
and
yeah.
But I also feel like more people should read this comic book. It's so good. Like I just don't. It bums me out. Like I'm just like, man, people are missing out on a really good book here. So I want to get to without telling people the origin of the story. They do dive into its history and maybe its creation. I don't know about that, y'all. I will say this is probably my biggest criticism of the book. And I'm someone.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, I'm someone who I love to know everything.
Sure.
Like, right? Like when Twin Peaks The Return came out, I was like, oh hell yeah. Like I want to origin stuff. I want to know like what the hell is Bob doing. I want to know what this is and what that is. And then, Lynch throws out that episode like black and white, and it's like got a slug going into a girl's mouth. And it's like, I don't know what I just watched, but it was goddamn incredible, but like you hint at a little bit of what's going on, but like you don't really know. Listen, just give me something. And I love knowing about what's going on. This was, I think, maybe the weakest part of this of what I've read so far. And it sounds like I'm not alone. Maybe I am. I'm gonna go to you first. What's your take on the origin of Die, of the realm of Die?
It's interesting. It, like I keep saying, I wouldn't think to go there, at all.
Yes.
I do think it's one of those things where, like, you know, there's momentum building and it kind of,
I would agree.
It slows down and we get explanations, and sometimes that works pretty well. I know, well, because they also do it in volume 3, and there's a point in volume 3 where we get some more of the origin, and
a little bit more.
A little bit more. Well, we get like one of the other, you know, masters of the world comes in and you know, talks about some stuff.
Wait, is he in volume 3? I thought he was in volume 2.
I think it was mostly, I don't know, it's like end of volume 2, beginning of volume 3 or so.
Okay, did you find out the other grandmaster in the series?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, it's
another author.
It's another author. Let's throw it out there.
But what I want to, but touching on that, like, I just want to say, like, because I'm reading that issue where this dude is talking about his stuff that's kind of influencing the world, and that's interspersed with, that's like Ash talking to this guy, and then but then on the other hand, the other half of the issue is like the other members of the party going and like trying to get some answers, like to some of like the more mysterious stuff. It's like, okay, that's a little more, that's kind of like, you know, tickling my brainstem a little bit. Like, this is interesting. Like, what's going on with all that?
I'll give you that. That's a good point. His, again, without spoiling it for a cookie here, his reveal was a little more interesting. But if you would have put him instead of what we got before, like him first, I don't know if I feel I buy him more because of what happened before. If that makes sense.
Sure. No. Yeah. I get that. Yeah. It is. So, yeah. It's an interesting choice. The first origin is an interesting, because like I said, like, I wouldn't go to, you know, pre-20th century literature necessarily in that way to go into the origins of my fantasy world, but it's like, all right.
Okay. Well, okay. Cookie, before I get to you, I want to ask a quick question. Because I don't know if my brain even understood what was going on, because I'm like, again, without spoiling too much, I'm gonna do my best, y'all. I did like their imaginations just like randomly create this, or like the gifts they were given. Like, am I imagining things, Cookie? Or is that how you took it, the origin? Because I was like, did they just create it themselves with magic pens or something?
I mean, that's how I took it.
Okay.
But honestly, reading this whole thing, I felt very dumb.
Dude, no.
I'm not literary smart enough for this. Like,
I didn't. I mean, that's a good. I think feeling dumb is not the wrong, because I think that's what I was feeling too. Because I'm like, what the hell is? I'm like, I don't even know what the hell this is.
It's like I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so you had no idea what references of what that was.
No, I had to look it up after, because I
didn't even look it up. I was that.
Yeah, I didn't look it up, but I'm only familiar with the one author because I read some of the one book in college, I think. I don't know. But anyway, I don't know all this like lore for that family.
Yeah. So
that's like crazy.
It was really weird.
It's interesting.
A lot of information at once. and I felt very stupid.
I felt like I should have read it later, probably at
Mm.
nighttime, and then because there was kind of a spooky element to it a little bit that
There
maybe
was a spooky element.
Yeah.
would have been better at nighttime, but
Mm-hmm.
You know,
regardless.
here's what I'm going to say about this is like it did ruin the universe for me a little bit. It did ruin it because then all these names, like, because there's references to it, like the towns, whatever. I was like, oh, really? Oh man, like it just kind of, I don't know. I mean, I obviously I think there's like a never-ending story aspect to this, you know, like, which again is cool.
Well, and there's some. Well, the thing is, what's interesting is that there's like some time displacement stuff, like that the world is like constantly like recreating itself, or like because like because you mentioned the gifts, and the gifts apparently get they say later it's like, oh, the gifts came uh from the world potentially.
Right.
and then they talk about the die the dice, and how that anyway, I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah, no, you're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. No,
what I find, and that's what I'm wondering too about that one twist that happens with a certain character's relative, like if essentially the time displacement thing is interesting, if like basically people are coming into the world at various points in time, because they were the first people to come to the world, but they also aren't. Anyway.
No, there's that aspect is very, I think I know what he's going for, because he's going for this idea of like, not like the real world in this faraway land, whatever, that you can create, like how you can get lost in it and how it like it can consume you. Like there's those overall overarching themes are all there, and it's interesting. It almost feels like a pro and con thing, even though I know, like, if you read the trades, like he has like a, what do you call it, like his own like fun game, whatever you can play, I guess.
Oh yeah, he made a game that you can play the
That's
world.
really cool.
Yeah,
That's really
I
cool.
wouldn't play.
Oh yeah, not now.
Sounds dangerous.
Yeah, seriously. No, but like there's really cool themes there. I know. I mean, again, I'm just throwing. Maybe it's just like a good idea or an idea you threw out there, but I personally think it kind of ruins the mystique, not the mystique, but like the specialness of that place.
Yeah.
And like, it makes me go, man, I don't know. Like the Cookie, would you agree to that? Was that something that you agree kind of ruined it a little bit for you?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think it was too much exposing of the lore, I guess. I don't know. I like throughout the first trade, you get all the literary Easter eggs and all this stuff.
Yeah.
So
And that's
you
fine.
can be you can be a nerd and be like, I get that reference, or whatever.
Because you kind of think like, oh, it's because if he created the game, if Saul created the game, then it's like, oh, he pulled from
this
Lord of the Rings and that.
Yeah, exactly. It makes sense.
They were into that, and but
and then
this
comes along, and then it's like, what?
It's like, oh, that's interesting. I don't know if I would say it ruins it, but it changes it in kind of a like,
ruin way.
I don't necessarily want to say ruin, but it's kind of like it's kind of like we're at one level, and then then it's like we're playing a different game. It's like we're playing a level in a game, and then the game shuts off and there's a new game or something.
Yeah. I, as we wrap up here, those are all good points. And the story is, it is very captivating. And I will have to say that Stephanie Hans' artwork is, well said.
Yeah.
It's so good. And what's crazy is like I'm just assuming this was on an on time basis. Like it wasn't like, wasn't a lot of delays because
well, if you read some of the if you there were some delays. If
were there?
Some of the single issues, well, he has a lot of like essays in the back of the single issues, and then I guess this started in 2019, went into 2018, went into 2019, and then there were like he took like they took some breaks between arcs, I think, and then the pandemic hit and there was a bit more of a break, and like when everything was shut down, so there were some delays for this.
I mean, COVID, you can't really blame that on that's everything was delayed there. But no, I guess what I'm saying is that because taking breaks between runs, that's not unheard of. I'm talking about the actual release of the release of the thing. It's pretty consistent. And what's cool is he's gotten like a ton of like books out that are kind of like fantasy based.
Yeah.
And like I was hoping to find it here, but of course I don't have it. Yeah. But like he's got the where was it? There it is. I found it. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! I did something right for once. Don't fall, please. Thank you. I should be more organized, but I'm not. But like for instance, this like Dan Mora's Once and Future, which by the way, I can't wait to get into this because that artist kicks ass.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, Kieran Gillen, fantasy. He also worked on the same artist with Stephanie Hans on Wicked and Divine.
Mm-hmm.
And another sword and sorcery kind of aspect influence story. But to me, like this is the most unique premise. This one's kind of interesting, to be honest. I'm intrigued to read this eventually. I don't know much about Wicked and Divine, but I personally think that Die is such a unique story, even with those weird, like, kind of just things I was like, I'm not really sure about that. I do think it's still really good. And I'm really impressed in how much the like Stephanie Hans's designs on this. Like I got a picture of Soul here that I thought was amazing. And I'm going to try to bring it up again. And I'll just blow it up here on myself and where is it? It was right here. Hold on. The right here, you see, this is like one of the main characters. Where is it? Right there. Look how great this looks.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is just God.
Yeah.
Damn. And I just, man, like this, she is a great artist. And I don't know. I think the artist it really does elevates this story altogether. So I guess we'll wrap up some final thoughts here. Cookie, did you, I made you buy this on a whim. I hope you enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
I loved it. So, I mean, other than that one little hiccup in the second volume, but other than that, like this has been a joy to read, and it's gorgeous to look at. The story is awesome. I like the little nerdy Easter eggs. They're fun. And I can't wait to keep reading it. So
we may have to have like a big like die party when we actually all finish it. We'll have to come back and
full
do
spoilers,
it
yes.
and do full spoiler breakdown because it is. I have volume 4. I bought it, so I will complete it at one point, and I am itching to get back into it. I've just got so much to read right now. Our friend Joe gave us like 20 issues of Superboy to read for his Legion.
Oh,
so he was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna read the Mike Grell run, which is like 20 issues." I was like, "Damn." It's been fun to read, but it's it's hard. It's hard. It's hard to put that time in my life right now. But I do it for Joe. I love Joe. Great writer too, by the way. Love you, Joe, if you're watching. Anyway, but yeah, like it's one of those things where I'm looking forward to reading. And when I got you on, Cookie, I was like, I gotta like read this. And I burned through it way faster than I was anticipating personally. So I look forward to seeing what you think of the big reveal of the second author. So I was like, really? But it actually works. Adam, I thought so. So, but you liked it. You recommend to other people.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Especially if you're into fantasy and, dragons and knights and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you actually like that stuff though? Like, are you a big like sorcery person?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's my jam.
Well, how about this really quick? Do you have any recommendations for people to read fantasy comics like myself? Because I don't read enough, to be quite honest.
Most of the fantasy stuff that I consume is TV, movies, and books. So this was the first.
No comic.
No,
Okay.
so this is like pretty much the first one that I've dove into, and it's lovely.
There's I mean, there's a lot out there for. I'm not sure about modern stuff, but there's a lot of old '80s like not the obvious stuff like Conan the Barbarian, like not that stuff, but like, which is still good, by the way. From what I understand. But like there's other cool like fantasy stuff I've heard good things about. We might have to bring you back on if you like the sorcery stuff. So
okay,
we'll see. But let me know if you're out there on X, formerly Twitter. Let me know if you find any good fantasy comics with their cookies. Let me know because I will. I don't know too many. If you're out there, leave a comment. Tell me if there is any good fantasy comics out there because I don't read enough. So good. I'm glad you are sold because if you weren't, we'd have problems, Chris. Just kidding. And Jacob, come on, man. I've been saying this for years. Where the hell have you been? Come on. Anyway, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'm glad you recommended it. And Adam, what about you? What's your final take on this whole die thing?
It's good. I like it. The character works really good. That's the thing. Like,
I agree. Yeah.
The world is interesting enough, but the characters. Well, and that's the thing. The characters are what sell it. You need interesting characters to get invested in something like this, and I would say that each member of the party brings something to the table for everyone.
Mm-hmm. I'd agree.
And I do think it would kill it as if it was adapted. If there was some kind of adaptation of this, I think this would. Well, yeah, I think the people want something like this.
Dude, I think the thing would slay.
Mm-hmm.
Slay like a Netflix, man. Like, I mean, the problem is it'd be like, it's like Stranger Things. It'd be like that whole thing. It'd be like that, you know? So I don't know if it'd almost like work against it, but if you have
Jumanji, how about that? It's like Jumanji.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, oh, excellent. That's a good comparison. Yeah, I like that. Jumanji, right on. Well, I'm excited to get to read this eventually, and it is.
I mean, I gotta finish it now.
Well, now you have to.
Now
right?
we're invested.
Yeah, now we're invested, right?
There's only 5 issues left for me, so it's like, well.
and they do fly by quick, I thought.
Yeah, they're not really. He's got a good balance. So they're not like they're at a good amount of time to read. It takes a fair amount of time, like not too long, not too short. It's easy to kind of get sucked in.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I agree there. The one thing that usually drives me nuts about modern comics is like the inner monologue. Like I'm like pretty much over inner monologues right now. I mean, but I mean, you have to have one. Was that?
There's a lot of that in this from Ash's POV at least.
Well, right, but it didn't bother me in this. In fact, I thought he used it really well and uniquely in this. That's where I would say I don't have a problem with that because it wasn't like, I'm so brooding. Like he was they were very honest with themselves the whole time and was like, it's almost like you're getting inside the character's head without being like, it felt like it was info dumps, yes, but it just, I don't know, the character stuff.
But it was in short bursts.
Yeah. Well, it's filling in certain gaps, and it's related to what's happening in the story at the time. Well, this is like she was doing this at this point, and he was doing that, and anyway, and it's all it ties back into how the characters are progressing in the story as a whole.
Yeah, exactly.
In whatever issue it is.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, and listen, like I think Kieran Gillen's extremely talented writer and very good, and I can't wait to read his other stuff. So I got Once and Future. I know my buddy Chris loves it. The other Chris Carey. He loves Once and Future, so I need to check that out. I need to check out other stuff too. And his Marvel work is pretty good. Like in Journey into Mystery, Young Avengers, all good stuff. So anyway, thank you both for jumping on. I really appreciate it. Cookie, I know it's super late there. I'm so sorry. You're so gracious of your time. I got on early. I told my wife, I'm like, listen, I got someone on the East Coast coming on. I gotta jump on earlier because they're making their time on for it. So she was like, that's fine. So that was very nice. So, but thank you for coming on. Please promote your stuff, my friend.
You can follow me on Twitter. That's CookieCritter44. I'm also on Instagram. That's Cookie Monster Makeup, where I do interesting makeup things. Hopefully,
You're very.
I try.
You do great work.
Thank you. And you can also usually find me on YouTube for One Night Only or How Did We Get Here.
You're on YouTube too? I didn't know this.
Every now and then, I'm a guest star.
oh yeah, okay. News to me. I'm like, I follow all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't know you're on YouTube too. What the hell? I didn't know this. Old now.
Oh, and one more thing.
No, please.
If you watch Interview with the Vampire, I do Interview with the Geeks. We do episode by episode breakdowns every week on Gathering of the Geeks, a podcast. So
right on.
Lots of fun.
I need to watch that series. You guys talk about it a lot on there. I know you rave about it. You love it.
It's so good. It's so good.
I don't know. I just don't have time in my life right now. It sucks. I still need to finish Better Call Saul. And we have like the last like 2 episodes.
Oh my god! Please,
dude, hold on. Here's what's sad. We've been on it for like a year. Like we haven't finished it because of me. Because I'm like,
I know.
God, it just sucks. Just like life is. Like yesterday, like really quick. Yesterday, my wife took my kid out for a bit while I was just kind of hanging out. I watched, and I was like waiting for my football game to come on, and I was just like watching Obi-Wan 4K for a minute. And I'm like, this is what like life was before Lulu. It was weird because I'm actually able to watch something.
It's like I can sit on the couch.
I can sit on the couch because like now I'm like I have to be very dedicated. Like I'm going on YouTube. I'm watching my shit. I'm gonna do my thing. Like I have to this. I can't have time to watch 800 million things I need to watch. And it's like yesterday I'm like I'm actually watching just something. This is incredible. So anyway, thank you for jumping on. And yes, I am embarrassed to not know what your abbreviation of MT makeup of the day was until I was like. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I feel very dumb. Anyway, so I'm very good. I showed my daughter and my wife your makeup. They were very impressed.
Oh, thank you.
My daughter was like, who's that? I'm like, it's Cookie. He's like, huh. And she's like, huh? Like, I forgot which one it was. It was one of the recent ones. But she was like looking at it, very, very perplexed. She's very perplexed.
The mustache one, maybe?
It wasn't mustache one. It was the one I think you might have been drinking that night. I don't know, but it was like that. That what?
God! Don't scar your child with that.
I didn't show. Hey, to be fair, I didn't show her the audio. I just saw the picture of like how like colorful you were. So she was very into that. So I didn't know what you said. I knew you'd been having some fun that night. So I was
it didn't come out as I intended. So.
No, it was still fun. You're very, very impressive regardless. So thank you for coming on. We'll get you back on again soon.
Yeah.
Pizza time. How we doing? Tell people where we can find you.
Let's see. Enchilada Legs on the social media sites.
Love that name.
Yeah. Spidey Radio Network, of course. Doing ASM and USM and Spectacular Spider-Man, and we got the Slot Symposium there, and here on the Comic Binge.
You send me the list of the issues about that too. By the way, I almost forgot. So send that to me.
Oh yeah, because we're gonna do that. Like you wanted to do it in early July, right?
Yeah,
Hopefully.
it's gonna be tough. So we'll say I gotta get to those Superboy comics still. So,
Yeah. But yeah, all that stuff, comic binge things here and on this show right now, and
right. That's right. You're on now. You're on right now. So anyway, Adam, as always, appreciate you, my friend. Super appreciate everything you do. And next week, what the hell am I doing next week? I don't even know what the hell I'm doing next week. We'll find out. Oh no, wait! Next week is freaking Superboy. God, I'm really screwed. So I got next week. I'll say this: I've got Superboy Joe and Chris, right? Then we got a very special episode. For the Love of Comics is coming back on the show. We're doing our top 3 favorite action sequences in comics.
Okay.
And if you know For the Love of Comics, he's very much like Cookie. He's not a superhero guy at all. In fact, I love that about him, and I have no idea what he's going to pick. And you probably already know what I'm going to pick, to be honest. But
yeah.
I got some fun stuff in here. I'm excited. I'm excited to talk about it. But I can't wait to get him on. He's great. I think that's still on for next week. So 2 shows next week and then a break and all that jazz. Lots of good stuff. Chris isn't here. I'll send us out. Read more comic books. Good night, y'all.